evening, beautiful people. Glad that you're here again, ready for another episode of Women in Business. And today we are going to talk about a topic. This is something that affects us women especially, and also the men. We are going to talk about imposter syndrome. Many of you don't know about it, but you're going to get to know what imposter syndrome is. You're going to know what causes it, how you can prevent it, and most definitely, how you can identify that you are affected by imposter syndrome. So welcome to the show once again. My name is Margaret Nachiganda. And today, once again, I have two beautiful ladies. One is no stranger to our show, and the other one is a beautiful new lady to this show. So please introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Maya Wakila. It's always a privilege to be here at Smart24, speaking to women about different issues. And today's topic, imposter syndrome. Most people have been through it, and they don't realize that they're suffering from imposter syndrome.
Yeah, welcome to the show once again, Wakila. Our guest, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, my name is Migish Elizabeth. Let's keep it as Liz. I'm a mind wellness advocate and I'm professionally a social worker. Now, imposter syndrome is quite an interesting topic because everybody goes through it. I'm not going to lie to you, with or without knowing. We are faced with imposter syndrome each and every day. And what you need to know is that most so women in business, we are the most affected by it. Actually, generally, women. And you're going to find it occurring in women who believe low of themselves. They have low self-esteem. We are the biggest target for imposter syndrome compared to people who are self-confident about themselves.
Yeah, so our mind wellness advocate has briefly introduced us to what imposter syndrome is. And if you ask me, I can say imposter syndrome is a situation where you're filled with self-doubt, even at something that people believe you can do best. Let me say you think you're a good fashion designer, but you don't believe you can pull it off when you start in the fashion industry. Let me say you believe that you're a good speaker, but when they call you for events, you actually think, I am too small for this. So how can you guys explain what imposter syndrome is?
Imposter syndrome comes up when someone has fear within themselves. Someone has the talents, but then in them, they have that fear that they are not good enough. And they also have that fear that someone may put them down.
Yeah, Liz, what do you think imposter syndrome is?
Yeah, imposter syndrome it's always that feeling. It's like that inner critic that comes in you and makes you believe you don't deserve to be where you're at, the level at which you've reached. Whenever you're reaching a certain level, it will always come up. Let me say you've moved from being an assistant to a business owner, and now you're the one who is now taking over the business as the business owner is opening up new branches. You feel like you don't qualify because probably you don't have the documents of being a manager or something like that. So it comes in that format. It will always appear the moment you take another step forward in life, the moment you're exposed more, the more your opportunities increase and are greater. That inner critic will always come and say, you're not enough. Oh my God, you don't qualify. What are you going to tell people about yourself? And they're not even going to believe you. You're not even a professional. Don't lie to yourself. Give up. It's always there.
All right, so speaking about imposter syndrome, we get to see that this is self-doubt, but is this something that we can say has an advantage? Because sometimes really you're not prepared for the new ground that, let me say, people think you deserve, or is it advantageous in any way? Does it help you prepare better? Do you think it's advantageous?
I honestly feel like it's advantageous. You know, there is nothing that is just one-sided. There are two sides of a coin. So I feel like it's an opportunity for you to challenge yourself in a way. So when that inner critic comes and tells you, oh my God, you don't qualify, you don't have the documents, I think it's very good to assess that those thoughts help you think through and analyze, am I really the right person for this job? Maybe that inner critic is actually right and it's not just imposter syndrome, but maybe something within you protecting you from you. So I love the fact that it helps you analyze things. It helps you think through and be ready. You're going to find that someone is going to prepare very well, like thoroughly enough for a presentation because of that thing of feeling like I don't qualify. So I feel that's the biggest advantage.
Have you undergone imposter syndrome? Has it attacked you in any way? I personally have been faced with it numerous of times because for some reason, people see a lot of potential in me, and then I get scared. I get scared, like, to embrace some opportunities. I can let me say, a job go or an audition go because I don't feel like I am there yet. And this is something I sit back and I'm like, are you really okay with yourself being like this?
Someone out there may be watching you and then asking themselves, why would she say she has ever experienced imposter syndrome? Seriously, most of us have been through it, and right from the CEO, the most successful CEOs that you know, have been through imposter syndrome, down to the university student and down to even a P2 kid. So you shouldn't wonder why most of us are here, because we've been through it, and we can really tell what it takes for someone to have that syndrome. First, if you're a people pleaser, whenever you do something, you feel you want someone else to come and tell you, Mary, you're good. Liz, you're good. If you're a people pleaser, you'll always fail at most things, and this will show that you're, actually, I don't want to use the word victim, but this will show that you're suffering from imposter syndrome, because that inner self or that inner being, you're not so confident about it, so you end up seeking someone else to give you that support. Yet you're supposed to be your number one fan.
Yeah, and speaking about people pleasers, I can say sometimes when you feel like what I'm going to try out might not please people, you're going to be afraid to try. I am personally not a people pleaser. The kind of imposter syndrome I have assessed myself to have is I tend not to try out things if I feel like I am not going to be perfect at it. The perfectionist. I know I'm not perfect, no one is, but I feel like I shouldn't put something out there and I am a mediocre. It really puts me down. Yet we are supposed to be open to trying out things. You know, that is a process of learning.
Yeah, actually, what you're talking about is so true. Imposter syndrome has brackets. People belong to different brackets. It's not just one bracket. So, like what you've talked about, the perfectionist, there is also the category of the expert.
Yeah.
So, it honestly depends on an individual. There are people who, for example, love to thoroughly prepare for something. They want to be the best at it, the expert at it. So
That's me.
Yeah.
For everything.
Exactly.
Even if when I'm going to lie to you, I prepare that lie.
Yeah.
Now, when you don't have time to prepare, you're like, it's not going to work out.
And then there are some people who don't prepare for anything. Like, I'll use this example,
Like
my mother.
They go right
My
away.
mother won't prepare for anything. She feels like everything can happen within, the spur of the moment, and it comes out
She's
well.
always ready.
She is always
So she's
ready,
not a
and
victim of
I
imposter
really want
syndrome.
to come to that point in my life because, hey, I need thorough preparation for things.
That is so true. I mean, if I'm to look at myself as an example, I mean, I look at it from the sense of professionally, the professional perspective of it. I'm a mind wellness advocate. I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate about any topic related to the mind. But I studied social work. So in terms of documentation and degree, I'm not qualified. So even when you were calling me for this show, imposter syndrome was playing me. It kept on playing in my head. You don't qualify. What are you going to talk about? Like you didn't study it professionally. You're going to miss it. Here I am.
Yeah.
So it's going to play you, but you just have to keep on going.
Yeah, speaking about, those are some of the types of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
The perfectionist, the expert, the people pleaser.
There is also negative self-talk, whereby you always talk negatively about yourself. I can
Why
come
would
to
someone
you.
do that to themselves?
No, I can come to you and I tell you, me, I can't even speak in public. Me, I can't do this. Me, I can't do this. Whenever I'm talking to you, I'm always negative. That's one of the signs of imposter syndrome. So, our dear ladies, we should always be our number one fans, and we should not let that self-talk, that negative self-talk, outdrive us.
Yeah, and there is something I read that people are already speaking bad about you, let me say, because most people don't appreciate, right? So just take it upon yourself to appreciate yourself, to speak well about yourself, and that is the number one booster of confidence.
Yeah.
Mind wellness advocate. Any other signs of imposter syndrome? How someone can identify that I am attacked?
Okay. When you know, it's okay for that voice in your head. Sometimes I feel it's like a clarity for it to come when something is telling you, I don't think you're the right person for that job. I don't think you should take in that gig. I don't think you qualify. But when it keeps on repeating itself that even what you're supposed to do, you fail to do it, please pay attention to that, because whatever happens in life is not supposed to be a constant. It's like the way how you see hunger. When you're hungry, you'll feel hungry and it will be terrible until you eat. But the moment you eat, everything within you cools down. But imagine someone being hungry all the time. There is a problem. So in the same way, imposter syndrome is almost the same thing. Those critical thoughts will always come in, but when they keep on repeating themselves, please don't let it, don't let it consume you. You need to confront it.
Yeah.
Now, about self-doubt. Most people out there, most ladies, they would want to start up businesses, but then there is that self-doubt. They don't believe in themselves. Self-doubt is one of the, should I call it a characteristic of imposter syndrome? And they've made it normal to everyone. You know, someone tells you, "Nze nange netya." Quetia is already self-doubt. You shouldn't quetia. You shouldn't fear yourself.
They're saying they fear themselves.
Yes, they fear themselves.
Fear is different from doubt.
Fear is different from doubt, but still, it will bring imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because when you quetia, when you fear yourself, you won't be able to start up that business. You won't be able to start small. You won't be able to go for that interview. Yeah.
Yeah, now that we know at least the definition of imposter syndrome, the signs, some of the telltale signs that you can use to evaluate yourself, and also the different categories, we want to find out what causes this imposter syndrome, especially in women. You know, right now I hear over the world and in Uganda, women are more than men. So we should be the drivers of businesses. Otherwise, our country will remain so low. What are some of the causes of imposter syndrome that you've seen or read about?
Perfectionism, where someone wants to be perfect all the time. You know, life is not 100% good, but there will always be the downfalls and the failures. But it comes to a person who is a perfectionist. He or she doesn't want to fail, and even the little failure he or she has gotten takes them off. They feel so bad. They feel so bad. Yeah, perfectionism.
Wow, some people
I don't know what
it's a positive
you may have
attribute.
something to say about it.
Yeah, there is also upbringing. Like, I'll give an example of you've been brought up in a household where everything you do, your parent has to approve of it. You're waiting for someone else's approval.
Yeah.
So let me say your performance in class, and then you come out as the second, and then your parent will say, but why weren't you the first in class? You've got your 98.
Why did you get 100?
Why did you get 100? So you grew up with that thing of, I'm not doing something right.
Yeah.
Like, your brain is wired to always look at what didn't go right.
Yeah.
So you grow up, even in your professional life, even in your relationships, you find yourself with a very good boyfriend, and you're like, maybe I'm underqualified. You may find he's going to get someone else.
Yeah.
You start up a business, it's doing very good. Yes, there are other people greater than you, but you keep on saying, no, I'm not the best at business. Another thing would be...
Maybe before you move on to our next point, let me give an example about the point you've been saying. I'll give an example of this glass.
Yeah.
Someone will ask you, how do you see this glass? And people will have two different opinions.
Yeah.
One will say it is half full, and the other will say it is half empty. So some are choosing to see the emptiness, and yet
Exactly.
some are choosing to see that it's half full, I can actually fill up and make it fuller.
Exactly.
The one who is seeing it as half empty will say, when I pour all this, I'm going to remain with nothing. So perspective and what people expect of us, they should learn to appreciate even the smallest step that someone has taken.
There is also collective culture, whereby our culture can't let you just be. You're supposed to go to school, get that degree, get a job, then get married. Life is not like that. But that collective culture, you end up not doing well. Maybe you've not gotten a job, but then there is that collective culture. I can't get married before getting a job. Maybe you've gotten the job, you have money, and then they are forcing you to get married. collective culture has led to imposter syndrome, and it has caused it so much among ourselves. People just can't let you be.
I
Yes,
think
and this kills our self-esteem
in this 21st century,
because someone can find you there. You don't have a job. At your age, you're supposed to do this and this.
Yeah.
You're killing their confidence. You're killing their self-esteem. But if you just let that person be, then he or she will be good to go.
like I was saying, as I wanted to cut you off, in this 21st century, at least our president has done so much to empower women and girls to know that in this age you're not defined of what people expect of you, especially those gender stereotypes. There are so many stereotypes that worked for our mothers back then, but right now, what we aim to achieve, the world that we are chasing, those are not the things working for us. For example, if you expect me to get married immediately after school, when am I going to dream big? When will I get my own money, buy car, land and all that? You get? I think we should be able to speak up for ourselves, to
And we
parents,
expect
to
you to have
society,
money.
aunties.
We expect you to get a job and have money and drive right after school.
Right after school.
Yes. So that's collective culture, and it has really caused imposter syndrome.
Yeah, even when you look at workplaces, you're going to reach a workplace and then your boss somehow expects you to be performing at a certain level that someone who was in your position one day, like 10 years back, is doing. Like I mean, even when you look at your own business, let me say you're beginning with a friend, and then you're going to, let me say it's a decor business. You're going to start looking and you're saying, but why am I not using this kind of, why am I not able to coordinate the colors well and what? You forget that someone who has been in the business for 10 years has taken time to study and understand those things. And then you will find that the people who are in your industry are going to come and visit your work and will be like, no, it's not what it's supposed to be. So workplaces and the perception people have, forgetting that we grow at different levels, is affecting people so much. And actually, I wanted to add on your point of a collective culture. Generally, one thing I've realized is that even as we look at the environment per se, we should also look at the people individually, who we are. We have grown up in a culture and in an environment where we don't take time to understand who I am. I am Liz. I'm not the only mind wellness advocate in Uganda. We are many. We are very many doing the same thing. But I'm going to look at someone else and I'll be like, but he's really good at what he's doing. Can I really speak like him? I forget the fact that I'm Liz, the way how I speak, the points I articulate are different. We are different.
Personality.
Yeah, we have failed to understand that. So whenever that thing comes up, the imposter syndrome comes up, you're usually referring to someone else's abilities that are not even yours. You forget to focus on you. So it's a serious issue. We don't know who we are individually.
Yeah, speaking of personality, so you're trying to say that some people are naturally innate to have imposter syndrome, because you're trying to say that this is something you cannot change, this is you. But these are things you can change.
I would bring it out in this aspect of, there are people who are majorly or dominantly introverted.
Yeah.
There are people who are dominantly extroverted.
I am dominantly introverted.
Okay, you see. So now if let me say they tell you to go and do a show of hyping people,
Whoa.
like being a hype woman,
Yeah.
you would probably fail at it, and then you'll be like, oh my God, maybe this and that,
true.
maybe that and that. But you see, it comes back to personality. It has nothing to do with imposter syndrome. Your personality, naturally, it is drawn towards opportunities that are more calm, more relaxed. Someone who is extroverted draws their energy from the crowd. So naturally, they are going to be hyped. They are going to easily connect with people, talk to people. You know, I'm not saying we can't learn it. I'm saying, that's why I say dominantly.
Yeah.
Everybody who is introverted is also extroverted. Everybody who is extroverted is also introverted. So we need to, even as we assess imposter syndrome, we need to look at the perspective of people have different personalities naturally. But then there are cases where the truth is the person is the best person for the show, for the business. For example, you're doing this show and then let me say you wake up and you say, I don't qualify. What's wrong with you? I mean, you've been doing the show for a month. People are not complaining. So Why would you doubt yourself now? You're the perfect person for the show. If you weren't, maybe you would be doing something else. That's where we now check that is probably imposter syndrome.
So what I get from the personality debate is that you just have to find who you are,
Yeah.
and then find the right spaces where you can blossom.
Exactly.
And that is something we fail to do.
Yeah, you need to understand yourself. We all
Attention to where your talent.
exactly.
Yeah. You guys, that brings me to, there is someone who said there is a difference between self-mastery, self-awareness, and self-mastery.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is knowing your strength, your weaknesses, what you can do, what you can't do. And then self-mastery is finding out what you do best and making sure there is no one that can do it better than you.
Exactly.
If you can speak best, make sure that the environment you're in, no one can speak better than you, but also acknowledge that you can't write as well as the other person. That is self-awareness and self-mastery. These are some assessments that so many of us don't take time to even do. Yeah. Maybe if I can ask, it's not like I'm throwing a challenge at you. Just try to make some self-awareness about yourself and self-mastery. What are you so good at?
Wow, that's an interesting one. Okay, I think because I naturally love things to the self. I've done my research on it, and I know I'm naturally good at speaking. I've always been good at speaking, and I think I face a lot of imposter syndrome on that. I feel like I don't qualify, but I'm a very outspoken person. I speak so well, despite the fact that I'm introverted. I'm good with communities, counseling related things, analyzing information and drawing judgment and conclusions, guiding people, works of that humanitarian works. It comes so easy for me to blend into such things.
Wow.
You said self-awareness and self-mastery.
Yeah.
Self-mastering, personally, I'm good at meeting deadlines. Like once I'm given a task, I make sure I do it very well and then hand it in. Then the other thing, I'm good at making judgments and also counseling and giving advice.
Are you serious? Wow, at least our guests are self-aware.
About themselves.
What I can share with you is about self-mastery. I know two of the things that I'm good at. I can speak and I can write. Though writing, I'm not yet where I'm supposed to be or where I want to be.
Why are you looking at me?
Because I feel like you're going to doubt me. But I have to get there. And I know right now it is something that, I cannot disappoint when you tell me to write for you something good. So at least those are some simple assessments that any of us can do in order to prevent imposter syndrome. Yeah. Yet, because this mostly happens when you put yourself in situations where you don't feel like you're enough, you get? Yeah, so far how are you guys how are you understanding that topic?
Well, I feel like the mere fact that we're discussing and it doesn't feel like a very serious interview, it helps you really analyze some of the things you've believed in and understand things far better than you used to. Like when you posed the question and you asked me about self-awareness, and I'm like, okay. So in my mind first stopped and said, wait a minute, like what are we good at again? But it comes from the point of over time, I keep on, whenever someone approaches me to do something, I'm like, I don't think I'm qualified for that. So you don't even give it attention. So even when you ask, what are you good at? You're going to think about it because you don't give it attention. Compared to someone who is probably, they know they love writing. So they're even putting up blogs and, articles out there. So when you ask them, what are you good at? They'll be like, writing. I'm actually good at articles because you practice it.
And you're good at it.
Yeah, so I feel like that has helped me understand that better and the connection back to imposter syndrome generally.
Do you know imposter syndrome? Do you realize some people don't post on their WhatsApp statuses? Yes, they go out to nice places and everything. They have the best cars and everything, but then they don't post because they fear. Yeah. They think once they post, someone else may comment badly. Yes.
Now, about that, as we go in for this break, I would say that maybe they just want their privacy.
Not privacy.
Okay, there are those who want their privacy, and there are those who actually fear, like, these people are going to think I'm faking it or what. So that brings us to this commercial break, and we shall be right back after these messages.
Smart 24. Driving